Welcome to Whiskey's a Journey. My name is Peter Fasciano. Today I have a double bottle review coming at you. We're looking at Kilchoman's. This is an Impex Beverage Company exclusive single cask import to the United States from Kilchoman. So I've got two bottles. I have a 12-year-old single cask, which is bottled at 54.6% ABV. It's bourbon cask maturation, and the entire time the bourbon cask was being matured in a Buffalo Trace barrel. Not sure which type, but it's just from Buffalo Trace. 750 milliliter bottle, and I paid $69.99 for this. And then the second bottle I'm going to review is another Impex import, but this one is 8 years old, and it is a cask maturation of STR. It's an STR finish, stripped, toasted, and recharred. I believe that's what STR stands for. This is aged 7 years in a bourbon barrel, and then it's finished in that stripped, toasted, and recharred red wine barrel. It doesn't say which type of red wine it is finished in, but it's red wine as opposed to bourbon. There's two things that I kind of want to test out here. I want to see if there is a difference between the peat levels in an 8-year-old and a 12-year-old. And then I also want to know if you can taste the distillate from the Kilchoman within these finishes or within the bottles themselves. I'm going to start out with the 12-year-old because I think the 12-year-old might be less peated and it doesn't have that red wine finish. So I don't want to influence my palate by starting out with something that I think might be, one, a little bit more peated, and two, finished in a red wine barrel. Tell you what, Kilchoman, every single time I have it, it climbs the ranks of some of my favorite Islay peated scotches. And I can tell you right now, just smelling this, it smells absolutely fantastic. It's peat, it's malt, and there's a lot of vanilla. The peat, if you've been here for a while, you know I can kind of rank in three different categories. The first type of peat can be classified as Band-Aid iodine medicinal. Then we move into a territory of a smoked log campfire. And then if you push it all the way to the other side, there's a very savory smoked meat side of things. Kilchoman is borderline sweet savory, but mainly right down the middle of a campfire smoke. And being in a bourbon barrel, the malt and vanilla is very strong. And also behind all that, I'm getting a really good amount of charred pineapple, pear, apple, and peach. It's very fruity with a little bit of a pepper note as well. Smells absolutely fantastic. So let's go ahead and get the 12-year-old bourbon barrel on the palate. Cheers, everybody. Oh man, this is some wonderful stuff. Definitely peated. On top of that peat, you get all of those vanilla. And this is really rich in vanilla sweetness, followed by the apple, the pear, and the peach. A little bit of citrus with a touch of pepper. The spice on the nose is much more than the spice on the palate. This is coming across as extremely sweet and fruit sweet. As I'm sitting here talking, that peat is just washing over the palate, and this is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful stuff. I guess I can also tell you, I have a September giveaway happening. So if you're interested in possibly winning 2-ounce samples of either of these, or winning 12 2-ounce samples of anything that I reviewed in the month of September, I have a giveaway happening. All of the rules to that giveaway are in the description below. I'm also throwing in an extra bottle. So hey, $5 to get 12 2-ounce samples plus a bottle. I'd give it a shot if you want to support the channel. Good stuff. Add a couple of drops of water to this, set it aside, and then move on to the 8-year. This one, the stripped, toasted, and recharred, 7 years maturation in ex-bourbon. I do not believe it's Buffalo Trace. I think it's just an ex-bourbon barrel. And then the last year of maturation is in a red wine cask. Price-wise, we're looking at a little bit cheaper, $159.99, $10 cheaper. And the proof point is 56%. They are both natural color and non-chill filtered, coming out of Kilchoman, and Kilchoman is a peated scotch from Islay. And STR, I always get confused on the terminology of the S. Is it shaved or is it sanded? And it's shaved. It's shaved, toasted, and recharred. And I wanted to save this one to last because I think younger whiskeys that have peat in it, that peat is much stronger. But again, that's another reason why I'm doing this, because I want to see if I can actually taste the difference in levels of peat with an 8 and a 12-year-old. All right, let's go ahead and get this thing on the nose. Oh, wow. This is much fruitier and less peated than the 12-year-old. Still gets some pretty good amounts of vanilla and malt. I think all of those orchard fruits are there, the apples, the peaches, maybe a little bit of citrus, and there is zero, I mean a zero spice coming through on the nose. The red wine casks, I mean, there is a red fruit note coming through here as well, maybe a berry or a cherry or a berry medley, but it's not a typical like fig date, raisin, and plum that you usually get from a PX sherry cask or a Oloroso cask. It just comes across as a little bit more of a red berry sweetness than a dark fig, raisin, date, and plum. Absolutely fantastic on the nose. Both of these are absolutely amazing. So before I drool all over the place, let me go and get a sip in. This is coming across as a little bit more tangy, a little bit more of a bite. It's not as well rounded. This has a little bit of sharp edges as opposed to the 12-year-old where it was much more rounded. On the palate, the peat note is coming through pretty strong, and again, it's a charry, campfire smoke, smoldering log type peat. The sweetness is dialed up, the tanginess is dialed up, the sharpness is dialed up, but everything is in a good way. Nothing is up over the top. The finish is longer, the finish is brighter, and that red wine cask finish is very subtle. I wouldn't even think I would be able to pick it up. I'm definitely picking up on the nose, but on the palate, it doesn't seem like it is as dominant on the palate as it was with the nose. There's some cola notes, some chocolate, some tobacco, very fruity sweet on the nose as opposed to the palate. Let me go ahead and add some water to this and then talk a little bit about Impex. Let the water do its thing, taste them one more time, and then give them a score. So Impex, when I first picked up these boxes, let me grab them really quick. So when I first picked these bottles up, I ended up seeing the Impex Cask Evolution mark to it. One was in January and the other one was March. They're both in 2022. These are older bottlings, but they're new to me. I've never seen these things on the shelf. So I was curious on what Impex was. I thought maybe it was an independent bottler, but then typically independent bottles come in a completely different bottle, and they sometimes will have a designation of which distillery they're coming from. But apparently Impex Beverage Company was established in 2008, and essentially what they are is they are importers. They'll go to a distillery overseas, they'll pick, in this case, a single cask, and then they will import it back into the United States. So in some ways, maybe an independent bottler. I don't know exactly how they would distinguish themselves differently from an independent bottler, but I also know that they do work with independent bottlers and import some of their stuff. Now I gotta take a look at my notes here, but it looks like they are importing spirits from around the world, and I'm sure they've expanded it since this information came out, but it looks like they're importing whiskey, gin, rum, mezcal from Scotland, Japan, Israel, Mexico, England, the Caribbean, India, and New Zealand. If you're familiar with this company and they've expanded and they're getting more things in, let me know in the comments down below. I'm sure other people would like to know as well. And Kilchoman is one of those distilleries that really hasn't been around all that long, especially if you're considering that it's a distillery on Islay. I think I remember hearing or reading, and I don't know the dates here, but Kilchoman was built in 2005, and that was the first distillery built on Islay in like 125 years. I could be completely off base with that information, but for some reason that year kind of sticks in my head. All right, if you have anything else to add, leave them in the comments down below. Let me go ahead and get back to the 12-year-old with the water. Let's nose it, taste it, and then give it a score. The water killed just about everything. The only thing I'm getting is malt and a little bit of acid. I'm getting a little bit of malt and a little bit of acetone. That's about it. Yeah, that's crazy how that water killed everything. Let's go ahead and get it on the palate. Nondescript sweetness coming through. The peat note is now leaning a little bit more towards Band-Aid and iodine, those medicinal notes. I definitely don't think water has done this justice at all. I would definitely not be adding water to this going forward. I'm gonna rate this. If you don't know, I rate everything out of 5 stars. I really do enjoy what this has to offer without the water. I think everything is pretty much spot on. I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5 stars. Let me go ahead and get a rinse of water and then move on back to the 8-year-old. All right, let's go ahead and get the 8-year-old back on the nose and on the palate. Candy, fruit, malt, and that peat. And again, no spice whatsoever. The peat is still pretty steady on the campfire smoke. It seems like the water has not damaged this one as much as it did the 12-year-old. So let's go ahead and get it on the palate. And just the opposite on the palate. Everything is killed with the water. All of those nuances, all of those concentration of flavors are completely gone. The only thing I'm left with is an ashy note, along with, again, a sweet fruity note. But other than that, there's really not much to it. I don't think either one of these, with these single cask releases, do well with water at all. And as far as the score goes, I'm going to put this one at a 3.75. I think the 12-year-old by itself without water just shines through. It really shows you what Kilchoman is all about with their distillate. And I think that red wine cask is masking the beauty of Kilchoman. So before I let you go, if you have made it this far and you've enjoyed what I've done, if you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, turn that bell notification on because I produce videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm looking forward to reading the comments on this one. Let me know what you have had from Impex Beverage Company. If you've had Kilchoman's, what do you think about Kilchoman? And until the next time, wherever you're at in your journey, I hope you're enjoying it, and we'll talk to everybody later. Bye.